The title of this podcast is A Guest for a While Sees a Mile. And this is a Yiddish saying that a rabbi shared with me last week, which was awesome, And what made him share that with me was he was asking me about my work at Mayo Clinic, and he said to me, you've been introduced to everybody as like the happiness coach. And I was like, oh, that's really kind. That's cool. I appreciate that. I hope I'm showing up that way. I'm certainly working at, infusing joy and kindness and gratitude in the spaces that I happen to be in. So that's really kind. And so he said, like, how do you do that? Like, what's the methodology behind that? And I just basically said that, in the organization, I am welcomed into, work units and departments, and we build a partnership on like really supporting well-being for everyone in that space. And I just listen to everyone share, about what's going on and help them. They teach me, and we identify what the barriers are, and together we come up with a plan, to address those things, and hopefully there'll be some positive outcomes. So I'm describing this to him, and he says to me, he's asking great questions, and one of the questions he asked is so how do you go about, like, is it just one visit that you make in which, or is it a phone call, a virtual meeting in which you start asking questions to find out what's going on in those particular units? I said, yes, sometimes. But I said, oftentimes it means that I do some observations and shadowing and things like that. And so I spend some time, so I can really understand it and be taught what's going on. I mean, people are just so generous in sharing their knowledge and wisdom with me that I get to grow and learn. It's amazing. Not to mention, I get to be around people, right? And for a person who wants to lead with an open heart and appreciates all of humanity, it's like a gift, right? Like I got the coolest job in the world. And so he says that, so there's a Yiddish saying about that. And it's that a guest for a while sees a mile. And I was like, yeah, I guess that's what's happening. Because he was, as I was telling him, giving him some examples, without violating any confidentiality, just giving him some scenarios. He was like, wow, that's really like really deep thinking about that issue, and how you and your partners came up with a possible solution to it. And I was like, yeah. He was like, man, you can really see things. I was like, I don't know if I can see things. What I do know is I do this well-being practice every day so that hopefully when the answers are there, I'll be able to see those answers. But I can't say that I'm taking credit for coming up with anything. And it's that I thought about what he said for a while. And I thought about what helps me see things the way that so far I've been able to see things. And it's because I'm present when I'm with people. I thoroughly appreciate them giving their time. They're so generous with it, so thoughtful with their busy day to give me that time, so kind to me that I honor it by being present. And before I didn't do that. I would be at places and I would have shadowed. What would have been missing is really being connected to the humanity in the other person. It would have really been like an academic experience in which I'm taking notes. I'm already thinking about how we're going to solve this problem, or it would have been completely intellectual experience. It would not have been a experience on a deeper level. And when I'm with people, it's an experience on a deeper level. I mean, I'm smiling, I'm joyful inside for this experience. And I think it's through that the authenticity, the shared humanity comes through for everybody who's involved in those spaces. And so I think that's what helps me see a mile. And I think because I'm not being distracted by my negative narratives or my thoughts or trying to figure something out in the moment, I'm really there just being with this experience, being with this fellow human being. And it's magical. So, and it doesn't take a lot of time to do that. I just trained myself to understand that that was the most important thing about this experience. I'm already there. Why not have this experience too that's really going to make it worthwhile and rich? Why not have this? And so for anyone out there that is around people, whether it's your family, whether it's your colleagues, whether it's new people, whether it's patients, in the case of those of us who are in healthcare, or your business clients, your neighbors, whoever, strangers, it doesn't matter. Make it a place to where that when you're with people, you are fully with them. You know, you are not being distracted by thought. You're experiencing that. And when you do that, what will happen is you will see for a mile. If there is solutions or a way to enrich this interaction, you'll be able to do it. And, I've given people examples, like I've never really been into fishing, right? I haven't, because people might say, well, what about if when you come to people, you start talking to people that you don't have anything in common with? I'm like, maybe you're not asking the right questions, or, most of the time that could be a possibility, or that you don't understand how to do it. I grew up with a significant stuttering problem. So from age 5 to age 17, I did a lot more listening than I did talking. And then I started to get over the stutter. So I started talking a lot more than listening. People probably may wish that I it's still at the stutter. But in that, it taught me how to be an active listener. And that experience was actually a gift. There was a lot of pain and suffering associated with before, ridicule from other kids and my stepfather. But man, when I look back on it, like being an active listener was really, learning that skill has really paid off. But the point that I'm trying to make is that along the way, I started thinking about things that I was interested in that could be found in this other person's dialogue during the conversation that would help me find value in it, and maybe a way for it to be a valuable and rich experience for both of us. And so an example would be, I am not into fishing, so to speak, but I had family members and aunts who were, and they would give a lot of advice. And it wasn't just advice about how to bait a hook or the best fishing holes to go to. Woven in that was about life, about being patient, letting the fish come to you, which is letting life come to you. Hurry slowly, like get everything together. But once you're there, enjoy everything around you, enjoy the waiting, like all those things were embedded in those conversations. So when I talk to someone who's passionate about fishing, my conversation with them, it goes something like this. Like, they're talking about fishing, they're talking about what kinds of fish they like, how the bait goes. Cool, I'm interested. But you know what I'm even more interested about? I'm interested about, who did you go fishing with? What was that experience like? What they teach you as they were teaching you, what they teach you about life that applies not only to fishing, but applies to other things. What they teach you? Because I care about that human part of the story. I care about how they teach you about being patient. How is it shown up in other areas? Like, I want to know that. And so when I'm with some people, or whoever they may be, I set up shop inside. We can only be together for 2 minutes, but I metaphorically, I set my stool up. I'm leaning forward like this, and we're going to be together for 2 minutes because I'm fully there, because I'm a guest for a while who is looking to see for a mile. And I invite you to do that with everybody, even if you're in passing. It's an opportunity to make eye contact and really connect on a deeper level. Man, life is rich. And when you do that, all those barriers and limits that you put in place that you think is protecting you and your precious time from the world and from other people, those are limitations to you experiencing more of the world and other people. So be that guest for a while who sees for a mile.